Hi everyone, welcome to Bioexplaining. This is the third part of our topic, human reproduction, and in this video, we are going to discuss about gametogenesis. So, let's begin. We are talking about the topic that is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis. Now, as we know that in biology, if you break down a word into two parts, it gives you a lot of its sense. So let's break this down into two parts, gameto and genesis. So one part we get is gametes and the other parts that we are getting is genesis. So gametes and genesis. Now what do you understand by the word gametes? By now we should be very confident about it that there are two gametes in case of human beings. One, in case of males, the gametes are the sperms. And where are they produced from? They are produced from the testis. While in case of females, the gametes are the ovum, or we call it to be the egg. And which organ produces it? It is produced by the ovaries, right? So gametes are the sperms and then we have the ovum or the egg. And the special feature of these gametes, what is that? वो क्या है कि these gametes are haploid. Haploid matlab they have n number of chromosomes, half the number of chromosomes. तो human beings के लिए this n is what? This n is 23. तो gametes have n number of chromosomes. And यहाँ पे जो genesis है, genesis का मतलब क्या है? Genesis का मतलब है formation. Right? Genesis means formation. तो simply gametogenesis का meaning क्या हुआ? तो gametogenesis refers to the formation or the production of gametes, right? तो gametogenesis का meaning what can we write? That it is the formation of gametes. Fine. First of all, let's start talking about spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis. So what is spermatogenesis? Again, if you break the term into two, you have sperms and then you have genesis. That means this refers to the formation of sperms. So goes without saying that spermatogenesis will happen in case of males. So now what happens is, if you guys can recollect properly, तो हम लोगों ने पहले क्या देखा था कि in the testis there are a lot of lobules. The testis is divided into separate lobules, right? And within those lobules, we have the seminiferous tubules to be present. Seminiferous tubules to be present. Now, within those seminiferous tubules, this work of spermatogenesis keeps happening. Getting it? So, what happens is, in the seminiferous tubules, this spermatogenesis process will happen. So, what is present inside the seminiferous tubules? There are spermatogonia present. Spermatogonia. And in singular form, you can call it to be spermatogonium, like it's written here, spermatogonia. तो ये spermatogonia क्या है? These are immature male germ cells. Spermatogonia को हम क्या कह सकते हैं? Immature male germ cells. ठीक है, तो this spermatogonia will start producing the sperms by this process of spermatogenesis, and when it will begin, this process will begin at puberty. Why it begins at puberty? What happens in spermatogenesis? We will come to everything in details in the next few minutes. Okay, so just now what we have to know is that in the inside wall of the seminiferous tubules, we have these spermatogonia present. So where are they present? Present on the inside walls of the seminiferous tubules. Okay, and these spermatogonia will start dividing and ultimately lead to the formation of sperms. Okay, so now let us understand spermatogenesis in details. So what we have already known कि हम लोगों ने ये देख लिया कि spermatogenesis कहाँ पे होता है? It happens inside the testis, inside the seminiferous tubules, right? That is the male germ cells, which are the spermatogonium and plural में spermatogonia. They are present in the walls of the seminiferous tubules and they will lead to the formation of sperms. यहाँ तक हम लोगों ने देखा. अब actual cell division process होता क्या है? First, what will happen is these spermatogonia. Okay, these spermatogonia, they are 2n. What do we understand by 2n? 2n means that they are diploid, right? That means they have 23 pairs of chromosomes. In case of humans, 23 pairs. Matlab total 46 chromosomes are present. 23 pairs. That means total 46 chromosomes are present. Fine. Now, what will these spermatogonia do? These spermatogonia will undergo repeated cell divisions. Repeated cell divisions for what reason? So that they can increase in number. ठीक है? To increase in number. Now, common sense क्या कहता है कि if I want spermatogonia to increase in number, मतलब spermatogonia से spermatogonia ही चाहिए, तो मतलब ये कैसे टाइप का सेल डिवीजन होना है यहाँ पे? डेफिनेटली माइटोसिस होना है. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे क्या चाहिए? स्पर्मेटोगोनिया ही तो चाहिए जिसके पास 2n नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम्स विल बी प्रेजेंट, राइट? तो फर्स्ट ये चीज होता है. Now what will happen is, due to this mitosis, from a primary spermatocyte will be produced. What will be produced? A primary spermatocyte will be produced. This primary spermatocyte is also 2n. It is also diploid. अब यहां से स्टार्ट होगा what? Meiosis division. तो सिंपल सेल डिवीजन से हम लोग को क्या पता है कि मेयोसिस 2 पार्ट्स में होता है, राइट? फर्स्ट देयर विल बी मेयोसिस 1, देन देयर विल बी मेयोसिस 2. तो पहले क्या होगा? मेयोसिस 1. तो मेयोसिस 1 होने से क्या होगा कि ये जो 2n वाला प्राइमरी स्पर्मेटोसाइट है, दिस विल गेट डिवाइडेड इनटू 2 cells which will have half the number of chromosomes, right? तो ये सेल्स को हम लोग क्या कहते हैं? These are the cells which you can call to be the secondary spermatocytes. Okay, secondary spermatocytes. So this is due to meiosis 1. What has happened? The chromosome number of the primary spermatocyte has become halved. Now what you will see? Now you will see the second meiosis to happen. That is meiosis 2. अब ये meiosis 2 में क्या होता है? Almost mitosis की तरह है. That means each of these n will divide into further 1 to 2 n's. So that means as a result क्या मिल रहा है हम लोगों को? As a result we are getting 4 cells which have haploid chromosomes, right? So what are these known as? These are basically known as spermatids. These are known as spermatids, right? And then there will be quite some amount of differentiation happening, and then ultimately the spermatozoa are formed. Spermatozoa are formed, and this process is known as spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis. राइट। तो क्या है एंटायर प्रोसेस कि आपके पास स्पर्मेटोगोनिया है which are 2n. They will lead to the formation of primary spermatocytes. They are also 2n. Then meiosis will start. Now when the meiosis starts, meiosis 1 के बाद क्या मिलेगा? Secondary spermatocytes. तो ये हो गया haploid. Then meiosis 2 will occur. 4 different cells are formed which are all haploid. So these are the spermatids. Then they will undergo differentiation and ultimately spermatozoa is formed, जिसे आप also sperms भी कह सकते हैं. With more modifications, these are known as sperms. And ये process क्या है? This process is known as spermiogenesis. I guess spermatogenesis is clear for you all. अब क्या होगा कि spermiogenesis is done. तो spermiogenesis क्या है? In what we have just seen कि we have formed the spermatids and from the spermatids spermatozoa has been formed due to differentiation. Okay, तो ये प्रोसेस था क्या? Spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis के बाद क्या होगा कि जो head of the spermatozoa है, right? So this is the sperm. We'll come to the structure. ठीक है? Just telling कि this one, the head part of the sperm, what does it do? It will get embedded in the Sertoli cells. Right? The Sertoli cells are another kind of cells which are present in the testis, and this head of the spermatozoa will go and get embedded in the Sertoli cells. Right? So मान लो कि this one, this red one is the Sertoli cell and this one is the sperm. So that only the head of the sperm will come and get embedded here. Then उसके बाद क्या होगा? Now the sperms are released from the seminiferous tubules. तो अब तक we were seeing that all of these were happening inside the lobules, inside the seminiferous tubules. Now the sperms are released. And what is this process known as? इसे हम लोग कहते हैं spermiation. राइट तो वन थिंग यू ऑल प्लीज रिमेंबर कि ये सब अलग अलग प्रोसेस है. जैसे spermatogenesis is the overall thing that is formation of sperms, overall process. then क्या टर्म आता है? then आता है spermiogenesis. Spermiogenesis क्या है? Spermiogenesis is from the spermatids differentiation is occurring which is leading to the formation of spermatozoa. And then आता है क्या? Spermiation. So spermiation क्या है? This is the release of the sperms from the seminiferous tubules. ठीक है? So these three are different terms having different meanings. Please do not confuse between them. If you get confused between them, just write the three of them separately so that you get a clarity in the concepts. ठीक है? Right. तो अब तक हम लोगों ने क्या देख लिया कि स्पर्मेटोजेनेसिस में सेल डिवीजन एंड ऑल कैसे होता है. लेकिन when we just started studying the topic, what did I tell you all? कि कब होता है ये spermatogenesis? It starts at puberty, है ना? Spermatogenesis starts at puberty. That is what I said. But why is it so? Why does spermatogenesis start at puberty? This is due to a very intricately woven network of hormones that are circulating in our body. Human body में बहुत से hormones के interplay के वजह से the spermatogenesis will start at puberty. तो क्या है वो interplay of hormones? चलिए let us study. So what will happen is during this puberty the GnRH levels increase, right? तो GnRH क्या है? GnRH is a hormone that is the gonadotropin releasing hormone. ठीक है? GnRH is the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Now कहाँ से आता है? This one, this GnRH comes from the hypothalamic neurons. So it comes from the hypothalamus. And when it comes from the hypothalamus, it will go and work on the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay. So this GnRH levels will increase at puberty and after being released from the hypothalamus, where will they go? They will go and act on the anterior pituitary. Now, once they go and act on the anterior pituitary, we have two hormones that are triggered. The release of two hormones are triggered. क्या है वो दोनों? The two hormones are, one is LH. So what is LH? LH is luteinizing hormone. LH, that is luteinizing hormone, and एक है FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone. ठीक है? So all of these are hormones that will trigger or hormones that will influence the spermatogenesis process. तो anterior pituitary से क्या release होता है? एक है LH, that is luteinizing hormone, एक है FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. Now what will happen? This FSH acts on Sertoli cells. अभी आपने देखा कि the head of the sperm will go and get fixed, or it will go and get inside the Sertoli cells. It is embedded on the Sertoli cells, and then it is released when finally we say the process is completed. तो क्या होगा? This FSH will act on the Sertoli cells, right? So this will secrete factors to stimulate spermiogenesis, right? Spermiogenesis will happen now. On the other hand, what will happen कि LH, FSH दोनों को साथ मिला के gonadotropins कह सकते हो. So what will the LH do? The LH will work on Leydig cells. याद है आप लोगों को Leydig cells क्या है? Leydig cell is nothing but interstitial cells. कि हमारे टेस्टिस के अंदर वो जो लोब्यूल्स थे वहां पे seminiferous tubules as well as interstitial cells या Leydig cells were also present, right? So this luteinizing hormone goes and acts on the Leydig cells. तो क्या होता है कि these Leydig cells now secrete androgen. What are androgen? Androgens refer to the male hormones that are released. So these androgens will now do what? They will stimulate spermatogenesis as a whole. तो getting it कि why all of it starts at puberty? कि puberty से पहले ये सब hormonal secretions are not at their peak. They do not happen in this manner. Only at puberty this happens in a cascade order कि GnRH will increase, then it will come and act on anterior pituitary, वहां से LH आएगा, FSH आएगा, FSH will go to Sertoli cells, LH will go to Leydig cells, and overall the process starts or it gets stimulated from puberty onwards. सही है? Now let us understand the structure of a sperm कि in the sperm क्या क्या different parts हैं. So beginning with the structure of a sperm. So this is the NCERT diagram of the structure of a sperm. So let's understand what are the parts one by one. First, what you have? First, let's talk about this head region. Okay. So what you see is there's this plasma membrane. Just to say, plasma membrane is not just a part of the head. It envelopes the whole sperm body. Animal cell है, right? तो outermost covering क्या होगा? Plasma membrane. So this plasma membrane envelopes the whole sperm body. Fine. Now what you have is, if you note into the diagram properly, you will see head के top part में एक acrosome structure है. I'll just mark it for you. This one. Acrosome, referring to this region. So what is this acrosome? This acrosome covers the anterior part of the nucleus. Anterior मतलब क्या है? In front. Posterior मतलब क्या होता है? At the back, right? So acrosome covers the front part of the sperm, the anterior part of the nucleus. ठीक है? Speciality क्या है acrosome का? कि it is filled with different types of enzymes. And what are these enzymes responsible for? They help the sperm to penetrate through the coverings or the walls of the ovum so that the fertilization process can occur properly. Okay. So acrosome का क्या function है? It is present in the anterior part and is filled with enzymes which help the sperms to penetrate the ovum wall. right? And ये जो covers the anterior part of the nucleus you are seeing. So what is this one? This is an elongated haploid nucleus. Elongated haploid nucleus, right? So it contains the chromosomal material, that is, it contains the genetic material which is passed on from the parents to the offspring. So that is also present inside the head. Next, what you have? Next, you have the neck which is present. So what is the neck? This is, just kind of a, what you can say is just the middle part. The head is there, then the middle piece is there. Just in between that constriction is the neck. Like in your body, your head is there and then you have the rest part. So in between this constriction is the neck. Similarly here also. Then what you have the middle piece. So this middle piece, if you can note, what does it contain? It contains multiple mitochondria. Numerous mitochondria are present. And हम लोग को क्या पता है कि mitochondria is known as the energy currency, I mean to say the powerhouse of the cell, because it harvests ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell. So multiple mitochondria are present in the middle piece. So what will happen? Why is this mitochondria required? Because as I just said, mitochondria harvests energy and that energy will help the sperm to swim through the female reproductive tract. Sperm को swim करना है ना, vaginal passage से लेके till oviduct तक. It needs to swim. Why? So that is the site of fertilization. It can go and meet the ovum. So for that purpose, the sperm needs enough energy so that it can swim and reach the ovum. So that energy is provided by these numerous mitochondria which are present in the middle piece. So what have we seen? That it gives sperm motility. What do we understand by motility? Motility का मतलब होता है ability to move. Okay, ability to move. And then क्या? Then so we know that number 4 we are seeing the tail which is present. So what will the tail help to do? The tail will basically help the sperm to move. क्या है कि for an average human male there is approximately 200 to 300 million sperms that are produced. Okay, 200 to 300 million sperms that are produced during a coitus. What does coitus means? Coitus means intercourse, sexual intercourse. Now what will happen is, for successful fertilization to happen, out of these total number of sperms, at least 40% should show vigorous movement. Matlab, at least 40% of the sperms should have the ability to quickly swim through the female reproductive tract so that they reach the ovum, right? And out of this, at least 60% should have normal shape and size. That is, the correct structure of the sperm, the structural integrity should be maintained in at least 60% of the sperms that are present. So ultimately क्या देखने को मिला? कि the seminiferous tubules as a whole, they are going to produce the sperms. Then the sperms will reach the vasa efferentia. I guess you guys can remember or recollect this. We have studied the structure of the male reproductive system in our previous videos, right? So the sperm will reach the vasa efferentia, and from the vasa efferentia, they will go into the epididymis. From the epididymis, they will enter the vas deferens, which is also known as the sperm duct. So vas deferens is also known as sperm duct. Okay. So these secretions of the epididymis, then secretions of the vas deferens, then secretions of the accessory glands, matlab seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and the sperms that are produced. So all of this taken together, what does it form? It forms the semen. Getting it? So secretions of epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, सब कुछ मिला के sperms के साथ उसे हम लोग क्या कह सकते हैं? Semen कह सकते हैं. I guess this is clear. So that's it about spermatogenesis. We are done with what happens in the male body. Now let's shift our focus to what kind of gametogenesis occurs in the female body. Let's start with oogenesis. So now beginning with oogenesis. तो oogenesis में क्या होता है कि it is initiated, that means it starts during the embryonic development stage. What does this mean? कि oogenesis start होता है fetal ovary में. That means it starts in the mother's womb. In simple words, कि when a girl child is present in her mother's womb, is present in their mother's womb, then what happens is the oogenesis starts at that time only. So ये एक major difference हो गया spermatogenesis के साथ कि spermatogenesis कब होगा? In the puberty stage of a male child, right? While oogenesis कब से start हो जाएगा? When they are in the fetus stage itself. Okay, so all the ovum that needs to form, that is the total number, will be formed in the fetal ovary only. Birth के बाद कोई नया oogonia वहां पे ऐड नहीं होगा. No more oogonia are formed after the birth. जितना बनना है वहीं पे बन जाएगा. Right? तो this is the overall process. अब इसे understand करते हैं one by one, step by step. So first what you have the oogonia. What is the oogonia? It is the gamete mother cell. From the oogonium, finally the ovum will be formed. तो oogonia का ploidy कैसा होना चाहिए? Definitely it should be 2n. मतलब it is a diploid cell, right? Having 23 pairs of chromosomes, मतलब 46 chromosomes है present. अब oogonia से क्या होगा कि these are temporarily arrested at prophase 1 of meiosis 1. राइट तो oogonia से प्राइमरी oocyte स्टेज में जब वो आएगा, ये प्राइमरी oocyte स्टेज में क्या होता है? The meiosis 1 has started, but these cells are arrested at the prophase 1. Okay, getting it? तो what will happen कि ये जिसे आप प्राइमरी फॉलिकल टर्म दे सकते हैं, जहां पे ये प्राइमरी oocyte के आउटसाइड ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स का एक लेयर बन चुका है. तो there are layer of granulosa cells which are formed, and overall ये structure को you can call it to be the primary follicle. Now what happens कि primary follicles before birth they are present, right? What happens is ये birth से लेके puberty के time तक बहुत से primary follicles degenerate हो जाता है. What do we mean by degenerated? By degenerated, we mean that they are either damaged or they are no more useful, right? So the number reduces a lot. The total number जो primary follicles that were present, puberty तक आते आते, lot of them have become degenerated. तो क्या होता है कि puberty में approximately 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left. How many are left? Approximately 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. Okay. Now what will happen कि ये जो primary follicle है, मतलब this surrounded by the granulosa cells, this will now turn into secondary follicle when more granulosa cells are added to it and a theca layer is added. तो what have I said कि प्राइमरी फॉलिकल में ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स का लेयर था, Now another layer of granulosa cells will come and add, that I've shown in green here, and there is this theca layer which is coming. What is this theca layer? Theca layer is made out of connective tissue. एंड बाद में हम देखेंगे कि ये थीका लेयर भी डिफरेंट लेयर्स में डिफरेंशिएट होगा. तो प्राइमरी फॉलिकल, देन सेकेंडरी फॉलिकल. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? सेकेंडरी फॉलिकल के पास एक्स्ट्रा लेयर्स है, मोर लेयर्स ऑफ ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स एंड एक्स्ट्रा लेयर दैट इज थीका. नाउ दिस सेकेंडरी फॉलिकल विल गेट अ फ्लूइड फिल्ड कैविटी जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं एंट्रम. Now this is known as tertiary follicle. तो order is fine. What kind of order we are seeing? कि पहले किससे start हुआ यहाँ पे? Primary follicle से you have started. Primary. Then more granulosa cells. Theca layer has come. It became secondary follicle. Now the fluid filled cavity, the antrum is present. Then it has become the tertiary follicle. What will happen now? इस ये जो टर्शरी फॉलिकल है उसके अंदर प्राइमरी oocyte इज प्रेजेंट, राइट? तो थीका लेयर जो था आपके पास, थीका लेयर डिफरेंशिएट्स इनटू टू सेपरेट लेयर्स. व्हाट आर द टू सेपरेट लेयर्स? एक है आउटसाइड दैट इज थीका एक्सटर्ना, एक है इनर लेयर विच इज थीका इंटरना, राइट? तो टर्शरी फॉलिकल वो स्टेज है जहां पे theca layer differentiates into theca externa and theca interna. Also, this tertiary follicle is that stage जहां पे वो जो meiosis 1 के प्रोफेज में अरेस्ट होके रखा था, वो meiosis 1 अब खत्म हो जाएगा, right? So at this stage, this primary oocyte will grow in size. It grows in size and it will complete meiosis 1. meiosis 1 हो जाएगा खत्म. तो when meiosis 1, which is an unequal division in this case, that gets completed, तो क्या प्रोड्यूस होगा? यहाँ यहीं पे दिख रहा है unequal, मतलब दो सेल्स जो अलग अलग प्रोड्यूस होगा, they are of different sizes, right? तो one small cell is produced जिसे हम लोग कहते हैं first polar body, and this is haploid. डेफिनेटली, क्योंकि मेयोसिस हो चुका है. मेयोसिस का मतलब क्या है? मेयोसिस 1 इज रिडक्शन डिवीजन, रिडक्शन डिवीजन, है ना? तो क्या होगा? फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी इज प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड द सेकेंड सेल इज व्हाट? इट इज ऑल्सो अ हैप्लॉइड सेल जिसे हम लोग सेकेंडरी oocyte कहते हैं. सो आफ्टर मेयोसिस 1 is completed, 1 is the small cell which is the first polar body, that is haploid, right? This one is kya? Haploid. Then there is the second cell which is also haploid. It is large in size and इसे हम लोग secondary oocyte भी कहते हैं. Now what happens is, in this case, the secondary oocyte retains bulk of the nutrient rich cytoplasm. कि मोस्ट ऑफ द साइटोप्लाज्म जो है वो सेकेंडरी oocyte में आता है, फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी में नहीं. दिस इज एन अनइक्वल डिवीजन. तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा जो साइटोप्लाज्म है वो कहाँ पे आएगा? सेकेंडरी oocyte में, फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी में नहीं जाएगा. नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन कि ये जो सेकेंडरी oocyte है, दिस टर्न्स इनटू द ग्राफियन फॉलिकल. फर्स्ट पोलर बॉडी के साथ क्या होता है? डीजेनरेट होता है कि कुछ और होता है, वो अभी तक बहुत अनक्लियर कॉन्सेप्ट है. लेकिन शॉर्ट क्या होता है कि ये जो सेकेंडरी oocyte है, दिस टर्न्स इनटू ग्राफियन फॉलिकल. तो ग्राफियन फॉलिकल में क्या है? ये आपका जोना पेल्यूसिडा है, वन एक्स्ट्रा लेयर ऑफ कवरिंग, राइट? एंड अंदर में तो डेफिनेटली सेकेंडरी oocyte इज ऑल्सो प्रेजेंट विच इज हैप्लॉइड. सो this Graafian follicle will now rupture, right? Once matured, the Graafian follicle will rupture. And as it ruptures, क्या release हो जाता है? अंदर जो secondary oocyte was present, that gets released. The secondary oocyte, the haploid one, that gets released, right? So this is what you call to be ovulation. This is known as ovulation. सेकेंडरी oocyte को तुम मान लो कि यही ovum है. Just consider for now that this is the ovum. So this release of the secondary oocyte is known as ovulation. Okay. तो लुक इनटू दिस डायग्राम. ये ओवरी का एक सेक्शनल डायग्रामेटिक सेक्शन व्यू है कि कैसे बनता है. फर्स्ट प्राइमरी फॉलिकल इज प्रेजेंट. From primary follicle, then secondary follicle, this one in the middle, then comes tertiary follicle. How should you understand कि ये tertiary follicle है? Because of the fluid filled cavity, जिसे antrum कहते हैं. Then ultimately the Graafian follicle is present. Inside में क्या है? Secondary oocyte है. And the Graafian follicle will rupture and the secondary oocyte, the ovum, that gets released. And the remnant जो है वो किस में convert हो जाएगा? The remnant is converted into corpus luteum. तो यहाँ तक क्लियर है. तो क्या देखा हम लोगों ने कि meiosis 1 कंप्लीट होने के बाद we had two types of cells, है ना. एक क्या था? One was this first polar body and दूसरा क्या था? Second one was secondary oocyte, right? Secondary oocyte. Okay. So first polar body was also N, secondary oocyte was also N. What happens is after sperm entry के बाद क्या होता है? This secondary oocyte will now again divide. What will it divide into? It will divide into the second polar body, which is again N, and the ovum. Okay. तो when I said कि ovum ही secondary oocyte है, consider कर लो. This is what I meant. Because वो जो NCERT वाला diagram है वहाँ पे release के पास वहाँ पे ovum ही लिखा हुआ है. तो बच्चों का confusion हो जाता है उसमें. Right. So what happens is only after sperm entry, what will happen is that the secondary oocyte will again divide, which will lead to the second polar body formation and the ovum formation. Right, तो basic एक difference देख लेते हैं between spermatogenesis and oogenesis, right, using NCERT diagram. तो क्या क्या देखने को मिलेगा कि basic differences कि spermatogenesis कब start होता है? It will start at puberty. And oogenesis कब start होता है? It will start in the fetal ovary. That is when the female child is inside the mother's womb. Then it will start. Right? तो spermatogonia यहाँ से होता है. In oogenesis, oogonia से होता है. तो in both cases, mitosis will occur. Then primary spermatocyte in this case, then secondary spermatocyte, then spermatids and spermatozoa. While in oogenesis, first from oogonia, primary oocyte will formed and then वो prophase 1 में arrest हो जाएगा. Then first meiotic division completed prior to ovulation कब जाके? Puberty में आके. Then when this meiosis 1 gets completed, first polar body is formed, secondary oocyte is formed, and after sperm entry क्या होगा? This secondary oocyte will again divide to form the second polar body and the ovum. ठीक है? So this is the basic concept about gametogenesis, that is spermatogenesis in case of males and oogenesis in case of females. So that's it about gametogenesis. Please stay tuned with us. In the next video, I'm going to explain the concept of the menstrual cycle in detail. Most importantly, if you like this video and you found this useful, then please like, comment and share it with your friends and whoever might benefit from it. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel by explaining. Thank you. Stay tuned. Meet you in the next video. Bye-bye.